Satnam yogis and yoginis, and hello, welcome to another video on number one. Today I'm not streaming exactly at the right hour. I had some issues with my printer. For the first time I wanted to do a video and I wanted to print a document. I thought it would be looking nicer if it was printed from the computer rather than me drawing it. And somehow technology didn't agree with me. But never mind, after 1 hour, you know how these things are. I managed to do it, so I got it after visiting many forums and YouTube videos. But that's why YouTube is for, so thank goodness. And yes, you may wonder, what is this correspondences? Yeah, I was writing table of correspondences. And this is an exercise that Shiv Charan Singh usually does in his trainings, and especially in the online trainings, when he gives us a table of things. And we need to identify what is the one of those things. And so today we're going to do that together. And it's a little bit a follow-up on the exercise that we did on the first video, number one, where we were drawing a point and finding our language around the point, around number one. So today is a little bit of an evolution on that, and we are going to continue to fill in the details to this dictionary that we should all be building. Yeah. So one of my invitations from a previous video, particularly on number 5, was to create your own dictionary of numbers, and something that you can relate new things to that dictionary. So when you encounter a new word, you will maybe not immediately know where does it go, so you go to your dictionary and check with the things that you already have in your dictionary. So today we will continue adding things to that dictionary, and so I have these different elements that there is a 1 about that, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5, and we will identify that. Now, as I was mentioning in some other video as well, today we will talk about number 1, but it's inevitable to talk about number 1 and 9, because they go together. Remember, 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 6, 5 and 10. So even though I will be speaking mainly for number 1, there will be occasions where you will understand that I'm also referring to number 9. So we will see this in action, and why delay it even more? Let's go straight away. And this is what it took me an hour to print. Maybe you were expecting something bigger, larger, more beautiful. Not. But to do this table by hand, it would look a little bit more messy. And even though we will fill it up by hand, I thought it would look better like this. And today we're going to fill only the first column of this table. And as I mentioned, this is an exercise that it's often done in the trainings. And so if somebody is from the Karam Kriya training and they may want to, if you wish, cheat coming here and watching my answers to this, I cannot guarantee this is all perfect, so there may be errors here. So I'll try not to, but there may be some errors in what I do. I hope not. Anyway, these are the things that we're going to identify. And let's straight away, this is the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So ideally over the next courses, the course on number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, we will use the same table if it survives, and we will fill it in with one thing for every number from this, what we call table of correspondences. So let's go straight away. Now, mathematical function, there is 5 basic mathematical functions, and the one that corresponds to number 1 is multiplication, which you can symbolize it in mathematics as a point. Very appropriate, right? Sometimes you will see it like a little cross, and you know, in the pirate maps, it was said the X marks the spot. Yeah, the spot will be number 1, and the X is drawn like this to find the one spot. Now, mathematical function is 1 and is multiply. It's not to add. If you want to add, that's going to be more about the positive mind. The 1 point is this impulse to multiply. Yeah, the number 1 was also impulse. And remember, 1 is the seed, and the seed wants to multiply itself. It wants to produce many seeds. You plant 1 seed today, and at the end of the harvest, you will collect 1,000 seeds. And this idea from 1 to 1,000, that's like a multiplication, that's very much connected to number 1. It's like to say from the 1 to the many. If you were looking at 1 and 1,000, what 1 would be the 1 and the many would be the 1,000. That's like saying 1 and 9. 9 means many. So when you find number 9s, it's like many, many things. Number 1 is like one thing. 1 is the more concrete of numbers, and 9 is the more abstract of numbers. So it will be concrete and precise, and as a mathematical function to multiply. There you go. Regarding geometry, we are going to find that this is also 1 point. Let me just write point. It's just 1 point. Now we know that with many points put together, we can draw many things. We can flesh out different forms. So if you want to find, a different geometry like a triangle, it could be made out of different points. But the simplest thing, the thing that you can do with number 1, remember 1 is simplicity, is just one single point. 1 point, only 1 point, which is one-dimensional, by the way. The point does not have width or height. Yeah, it's just one-dimensional. It's just 1 point, and it is single. It is a unit. We talked about it being unique as well. So it's often used to mark the origin and the beginning or something, but it's about just one single point. Just it. That's it. Very simple. Spiritual body. Well, this is referring to the concept of 10 spiritual bodies, which the way as it appears in the literature on Kundalini Yoga, taught by Yogi Bhajan, and there is one for every number. The one that is associated to number 1, the spiritual body, is going to be the soul. And the last video we did on number 1, I'm moving towards the middle. We started on the 1 and then I'm moving towards the middle. The last video we did on number 1, let me write like this here, multiply. There. Now everything is kind of in the middle. The last video we did on the soul and answering the call of the soul, that's like answering the call of the 1. And the opposite, on the other side of the 1, that would be the 9, that would be the subtle body. So the spiritual body, the first spiritual body as the soul, the 9th spiritual body, that would be the subtle body. Now, when it says element here, it's the tattva, it's the same thing. And this is the element of earth. The earth element. And that will also be the stones and rocks and sand, everything that is earth. And we understand the difference between 1 and the 9, since I'm already saying it for the other details as well. On the 1, the earth is more like the rock and the stone. And they are, sometimes we talk about a touching stone, right? Or the philosopher's stone. Yeah, it's talking about number 1. And the number 9 will be more like the sand, which is also earth, but it's something that you cannot really grasp. It's more subtle. Remember, 1 is more concrete and 9 is more subtle. So the 9, you cannot really grasp it. It escapes between your fingers. And so it is with number 1 and 9. So earth element, particularly more on the rock, which is steady, stable, and static, and what was that? Yeah, all those things. Yeah, ST. You will remember that we were talking about the other day. Now, earth is like our home as well. Is where we come to rest. So this is the earth quality. Okay, element. Plane, and sometimes it's called like the realm. And there is this is regarding the vegetable kingdom and mineral kingdom and all that. Sometimes we call it kingdom as well, but now Shiv writes it as plane or realm. It refers to the mineral. The mineral plane. So if you think about the other planes that is going to come up, we're going to have vegetables and animals and humans and all that, but those are alive. This is before life. Yeah, the Earth is before life. Sometimes we think of Earth as Gaia, the planet Earth, but this is not Gaia. When we think Gaia, the planet, we think about a very fertile Earth with a lot of water. We think of lots of plants and so on. But that comes with the humidity of the number 2, water. Because in the Earth by itself is very dry and it does not hold life well. So this is the mineral element. It's quite stable and static, yeah? The stone minerals. States of consciousness. Well, number 1 is the unconscious. This is again something we have explored many times. You will recognize it from the drawing that we generally do on consciousness. I don't have it right here, but anyway, this is when that drawing where we have the sea and there is the bottom of the sea and there is the surface and the ship is on top. Well, this is the bottom of the sea. The Earth is at the bottom of the sea, at the lowest level, and it's totally unconscious. And because it's unconscious, we could also say that it's somehow latent or dormant. So whatever latent qualities or tendencies or dormant tendencies within us, this is all associated to this number 1, and this first layer, the very first layer, the bottom layer of the unconscious. It's at rest, it's asleep, it's latent. Yeah. All right. The sense. Well, I think on the videos concerning number 7, we talked a little bit about how, yes, we did, I remember now. We were doing, it's so long ago, we did this video on the chakras. And I remember there was one video on the 7 sins and 7 chakras. And I think I mentioned in that video how there's seven chakras, but there's 9 numbers. So they don't really correlate perfectly. So every chakra has 3 numbers. The first chakra is 1, 2, 3, second is 2, 3, 4, then 3, 4, 5, and so on, up until the 7th chakra, which is 7, 8, 9. So all the numbers are within the connection to the chakras, and number 1 only appears on the first chakra, because first chakra is 1, 2, 3, second chakra is 2, 3, 4. So number 1 is purely on the first chakra, but the first chakra also has some qualities of the 2 and the 3 within it. So that's to understand. But anyway, because it's only the first chakra, and very often, actually, when we look at the first 5 chakras, because they are connected to the 5 tattvas, we will connect second chakra to number 2, third chakra to number 3, and there's going to be a predominance of that number because of the element. But we have to always take it into consideration that the third chakra is not just fire, it's not just 3, but it's 3, 4, 5. It's always pointing up. So anyway, coming back to the 1, first chakra, first element, and first sense. The sense of the first chakra is associated to the sense of smell. Yeah. And the sense of smell is quite a powerful way to connect to something that is in the unconscious. Yeah, now we're going to start to see how these are connected. Yeah, the earth has certain smell, and the seeds produce a very fragrant smell. We will think, oh, when smell is something we inhale. There is air. Okay, air is the vehicle, but the essence that this vehicle conveys, that essence is the one, and that essence comes from the seed. Yeah, when you crunch some peppercorn, yeah, you crunch some peppercorn, and then the smell that comes out of that's like the essence of the pepper. And that's why when you are doing like a yogi tea, for example, rather than a regular green tea or black tea, which use a leaf is not the same as a seed. If you are using leaves, you put it in the water very little time, maybe 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and depends which temperature. But when you want to do a tea out of seed, which is yogi tea. If anybody likes yogi teas, I have a lovely recipe for that. Maybe some other day if you want. But you use the cardamom, you use the how do you call that? Clove, yeah, clove and pepper and cinnamon. Cinnamon is not a seed, and what's the other one? Ginger is also not a seed, but ginger is in the ground, so in the earth. So that's has a lot of quality of number one. So the yogi tea has a lot of strength of quality of number one because of all these seeds and also the ginger coming from the earth. Cinnamon is the only thing which is a bark from the outside, but it's dry. It's a bark that has been dried, and remember, dry is kind of like the earth. So it's also connected to number one. And yet it's a very Rajasic kind of drink because there is a lot of fire. It activates the fire within us. So we drink this tea by boiling, which is the fire, these seeds for a very long time, maybe 30, 40 minutes, which is lovely because it perfumes your whole house. But you have to boil it for a long time so that the heat can extract the essence out of the seeds. So that's the connection between the seeds and the smell and the fragrance and the essence, and you get it in that way. So that's an interesting connection with the smell. You know, you can be walking in a garden. Recently, I was in the botanical gardens here in Porto, and I passed through one of the corridors between the plants, and then I got a fragrance, and I smelled it. And I recognized that smell from when I was a child in some area which I used to go with my bike when I was little. And I could tell, this is the smell. I didn't know where was it coming from. And then I figured out which plant was it. It's like, wow, this plant must have been in that area where I used to go with my bike. And no image came to my mind. I couldn't see an image of any particular memory. And image would be a sign of 37, right? But it was a clear memory of something past, long gone and forgotten. Yeah, something in the very early childhood. And I could have this sense of my childhood being associated to that smell. So the smell has this power to go back to the origin and connect very, very old ago, very, very long ago. So interesting how it's beginning to connect to the unconscious and the mineral and the earth, right? And the soul, which is like the seed. You see how all is connecting? Slowly we will see as we keep on adding things, they are all aligned, they are all connected. This is some of the most magical things of Karam Kriya, which I love, that when you start figuring out a new word and you feel that it fits perfectly with all the others that are in the column. So the sense of smell, that's associated to number one, but there is also a more refined use of the sense of smell, which is the sense of direction. That's also linked, it's 1 and 9, okay? It's not just 1, it's 1 and 9, but it's also associated to the nose, yeah? Follow your nose, yeah? This is like, your nose is the part in front of you, is the most in front, and it's the one thing we can always see, but we never notice, right? We could always just bring down our eyes and always see the nose. It's always there in front of us. And yet, who pays attention to the nose when we are walking on the street? We don't, right? Otherwise, we would hit ourselves somewhere. So the nose is something that we call the sense of direction, because it points in the direction. The nose is like an arrow, so it points in the direction we have to go. And there is a connection linked to the first chakra and linked to our sense of smell to be able to orient ourselves and to know where we are going. This is an actual connection. So there we go. Connection to the smell. And the stage of the plant, I actually already said it. I was saying about this yogi tea. Well, the plant is the seed. Everything starts as a seed. And I connected already to smell and all this. And the seed will have this impulse to multiply. Yeah, I mentioned, from one seed, we go to 1,000 seeds by the end of the season, the last season, which is coming straight away. How appropriate. Well, the first season, I know I had another YouTube comment mentioning how in a different place they associate winter to water. I think it was to water. Was it water? I think it was water. Anyway, I don't remember the exact comment. I was trying to pull it out before this video to mention it, but I had all these problems with the printer and then I stopped getting that comment. But the way we understand it in Karam Kriya, we associate it to the earth. Now, if we just said that from the number 2 onwards, these are things which are alive, like the vegetable kingdom and the animal kingdom and human kingdom. When we talk about the mineral kingdom, the mineral, how is it called? Plane and realm, yeah, the mineral realm. This is dead. This is something that is dead. And if we think of the 4 seasons, when actually there is 5, we will see that when we get, we already did number 5. So I will just mention it now, since we already did number 5 in the last course, and maybe we didn't mention this. I will do it now. But there is, I think we already did this in number 5. I'll repeat it. It doesn't matter. Spring, is there is water, there is rains, there is lush green coming out, and the plants are coming alive. Yeah, that's the spring. Summer, there is sun, there is heat, there is warmth, there is fire. Yeah, that's the summer. That's 3. Autumn is winds and the leaves fall, and there is nakedness in the trees. Yeah? They are getting naked, which is very intimate. Like number 4 is connected to intimacy, and so windy. 4. But winter is like everything looks dead. And if it's not dead, it's asleep. Remember that the state of consciousness is unconscious. You can also say this is asleep. Not dreaming, asleep. So the whole world is asleep. The mountains are bare. Rocks are dead. The trees look dead. They come back to life next year. But the animals hibernate. Yeah, they go to sleep for months. So this winter is very associated to this earth quality. And I mentioned there is a 5th one, which is the harvest. That's the 5th season, and depending on which fruit you are thinking or whatever you are harvesting, that will have a different moment in the year. But that's the 5th season, when we collect the fruits of what we have seeded before, what we have sown. So the seed would be the beginning, and the very end is the fruit, and the fruit is something that you gather in the harvest. Fruit is number 5, seed is number 1, and the 5 is collected in the harvest. So there we go. Okay. So hopefully it's clear. If you have any doubts, write it in the comments or write it in the chat, and we can discuss it. But season, winter's coming, right? Winter's coming. All right. Okay? All right, body axis. We could just say axis, actually. This is the vertical axis. We can see it in the shape of the number 1 and number 9. This is this vertical line. Yeah, it's like this. This is the axis, vertically. Naam, Sohail, welcome. Hello, good to see you. So vertical axis, that's 1 and 9. And the very shape, you can see the 1 and you can see the 9 here. So because it's vertical, it also speaks about our spine and our alignment. Yeah, our vertical alignment, how vertical we are, which we utilize to describe somebody who is maybe honorable, who has their principles and they follow their principles. Somebody who has verticality, even altitude. Yeah. So 1 and 9 is the vertical axis, and the movement is up and down. That is the movement that is referring to the number 1. It's very interesting when one of the things that you learn in Karam Kriya is to observe the numbers everywhere. And when you observe somebody's body, as you are speaking to them, you will notice when sometimes the person is moving from side to side or from back and forth. Sometimes we do it unconsciously. We are rocking back and forth. We are not really conscious of it, but we are doing it and talking about something. Well, there is a particular number that activates when you're doing that. Or let's say it another way. When you are in connection to that number, this is what happens naturally in the body. Or rocking from side to side. And then there is the leaning forward. You will see sometimes somebody is telling you something and you notice yourself getting closer to the person, going forward. And that's very different from standing tall. Yeah? So stand tall, like, they used to tell us when we were little, stand tall and shoulders back. So this alignment is to connect to the 1 and the 9. We know that 1 is the soul, so would it be interesting to stand tall and to keep your alignment? I think it would. All right. So that's the vertical, it's straight, and the movement is up and down. So let me put a little bit with an arrow to reflect also the kind of movement that we have. Body system. This could actually be. There's actually many things within the body and body organ. Let me put it together. Let's start with the organ. It's easier. Normally we talk about the organ associated to the 1 according to Chinese medicine. So from Chinese medicine linked to the earth, we would have the stomach. And number 9 will be the pancreas, I believe it's called. So number 1 would be the stomach and 9 would be the pancreas. But this is an organ that belongs to a something much wider than the organ. So it could be like the digestive system, but this is only one of the organs. If we come to different things which are connected to the 1, there could be many of them, and maybe we will do a separate video on this because it could be very interesting, especially for yogis. And we know that Kundalini Yoga and Karam Kriya is very connected because of our teacher, but also many of you arrived to numbers through yoga. And so if you know which elements within yoga are number 1, it could be interesting the moment that you wish to choose a particular exercise or meditation or kriya that, to practice on a day, for example, the 1st of February. Even today, which is 11th of February, if you're watching the video live, 11 is 1-1. So the energy of the 1 is very strong, even though 1 plus 1 is 2, and the 2 is there, and also February, which makes it even stronger. But the 1 is there, is 11. Today is not 2nd of February, it's 11th of February. So this 1 energy is going to be present. And if you know what 1 is in the body, like the stomach, if you do exercises related to that, they are going to be empowered by the energy of the day. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do another video on this specific thing. But let's say that the organ would be the stomach. When we think about the system, we generally associate it to the skeletal system. Skeletal. These are the bones, and the bones are the harder part of the body, and they are linked to the spine. The spine is vertical. So I could say much more on these things. I will leave it for another video and another week. Maybe even next week we can do it. Temperament. Well, the temperament here, this is, well, I'm not 100% sure what Shiv wants us here. I think it might be linked to the 4 temperaments, which this would be, I'm not 100%. I'm going to write it anyway, but I think it's phlegmatic. Was it a G? I think there's 4 temperaments, and there is quality to that, the personality of those people who are associated to every temperament. But I'm not very sure. I don't really follow that system. I don't utilize it much, and maybe I should have looked at it before doing this video. There may be some other words that I'm not 100% sure. So this is one of those that I'm not 100%. I'm going to put a little dot here just to remember. But you could also think of the temperament associated to the earth. So there could be something like dry, but also calm and stable and static and steady. this is kind of the temperament that I would go more with. Yeah, if I have to think of temperament, I don't generally go to this 4. I generally think of, say, this somebody who is very steady, stable, slowly, one by one, step by step, and reliable, because it's always doing the same, and it's unmoving, yeah, and unmovable, yeah. So that could be, but it could be also like falling asleep and dormant and inactive and passive. That would be the more like the karmic temperament of people associated to number 1. Question. Well, we know this. This is question what? We saw that there's actually 3 questions that are associated to the 1 and the 9. And but these are questions which point to one point, yeah? They ask you to point to what point. They say, so what is it? Well, it's that thing, yeah? Or where is it? It's over there. So, or which is it? Is this one, yeah? So this is something that when you reply with one point or one direction. Of these 3, which we don't generally use it so much in consultation, is more like, okay, where are things? Okay, they are over there. I mean, it's not really that useful as a tool to aid in the conversation, to guide it towards one number or another. The one question that is most useful is what. And the what question, there is also 3 ways that we utilize it. Or let's say the process has 3 steps. And I'm thinking we are going to have to do another video on this. What, so what, and now what? This is I need to take a note to this. 1 second. For another video, this is an important topic we need to talk. And when we ask questions about what, so what, and now what, we're stimulating the intelligence in the conversation. We will see more about this when we go in deeper within that question. It's a really fascinating topic, the what question. Let me show the screen. Universal force. Well, this is easy as well. Gravity. This is the force that is associated to the earth and mass, something that is heavy and strong, accumulates a lot of mass. It will produce this force, this universal force of gravity, which, things get closer to the thing that has more mass. So you will go towards the thing that has more mass. But you will also notice this also linked to the temperament, to those people who have a certain verticality and steadiness, and they keep aligned with their purpose. The purpose would be 9, but the alignment would be 1 and 9. So those persons who are listening to their soul and they are steady and stable, those people tend to create certain gravity around them. Yeah, you may hear this as gravitas, yeah? People who have gravitas. And this is not easy to describe. How does one person get gravitas? But you can definitely see that is something in the 1. This person is very associated to the 1, is very connected to the number 1. And they tend to have weight. Yeah, number 1, gravitas and gravity, it has weight. Their words have weight. Maybe everybody is discussing something, maybe everybody is saying many things, and this person is silent, is steady, is stable, doesn't have to speak, maybe doesn't need to speak. Needs is something of the 2, but it's just there. Maybe at some point, somebody asks for the counsel of this person or their word, or do you have something to say? And the words that will say, they fall heavy, they have a weight, they have a value on this, it falls on the air and everybody feels it. There is some weight to that. And yeah, that's gravitas. And you can feel it. People orbit around these people. Yeah, these people with gravitas, they tend to have comets around, yeah, or satellites, yeah. And you may have felt in your life that sometimes there was some person in your life that you felt constantly attracted to that person. And there's different forces of attraction. That's also a fascinating topic for another day. I'm opening so many branches of videos, but I would love to share with you different forces of attraction that I researched once, especially once when I was single and I was looking for a girlfriend and I was very lonely, and I was like, what does make two people get attracted to each other? And I was, okay, let's look at it from the numbers perspective. So I did a whole study on the different forces of attraction. That was very interesting. Anyway, from the 1 and 9, the 1 will be the gravitas, this thing that you may have felt sometimes, that some people is just, maybe they even go out of your life and then you feel yourself gravitating towards them again and again and again, right? There is something pulling you towards them. So gravity, we're only halfway. Let's go a bit faster, maybe. Or not. Planet. Well, I'm not sure planet, actually. Okay. Well, this is another one I have a doubt. I'm not 100% sure. My tendency would be to say the sun, because it's the one element, the most important or the most relevant, and that's the one that has more gravity, and everything gravitates around the sun. All the other planets will go around the sun. So I would probably say the sun, but also the sun is in the center of the solar system. And the sun is not a planet, actually. The sun is a star. So maybe it is not the sun. It has to be something else. Now that I've written, I'm thinking probably something else. But the sun is the thing that has more gravity. In terms of planets, it may be something else. I will have to check it out. I'm not sure about this one. Well, quadrant, that's when we are talking about the date of birth and the different quadrants. In the course on number 5, we explore in detail these different quadrants, and we're going to explore it even in more detail as we move on through the training. But if you remember when we were drawing these two lines, like the axis, this was the 4 quadrants. And this is the first quadrant. So this is the quadrant number 1. And actually this symbol is a symbol that I utilize when I'm taking notes, and when sometimes I listen to somebody speak, and not when I'm in front of them, but watching a recording, or if it's happening in a training and I'm outside taking notes, and I will hear words from the other person, and they will say something that I'm trying to put it in relationship to their date of birth. So maybe I take a note, a word, and I will put next to the word this symbol or this one with a point here or here or here to signify to me which quadrant are they speaking from. So this is the symbol that I use to talk about the first quadrant. But if you wish, we can talk about it. Which quadrant? The 1 and 9. We call it the 1 and 9, which is that one over there. And this is the relationship to the mother, the quadrant that is in relationship to the mother. When it says family member, this could be understood in different ways. If you think about relationship to, then it would be the relationship to the mother. But in terms of like archetypal energies, the family member, which member of the family is number 1, is the baby. So again, this could be relationship to mother, but also if you think about the member itself, not who is related to, but the member, that would be the babies. Babies are in the very first stage of their life, and so that's the 1. And if we go to relation, this is when it says relation to mother. I knew it was here somewhere. To tell you the truth, I haven't done this table for a long time. The last time I did this was like, I don't know, 2 years ago. So I haven't gone through the table for a long time, and I just printed it and I didn't even have time to look at the details. But yeah, I knew it was here somewhere. So baby and mother. And somehow we started with capital letters and then we moved to small letters. That's interesting. But the number 1, it would be small letters. So it makes sense as well. Now, room in the house. This is going to be interesting. It could be mostly is the first room where you come into a house. So I don't know how to call that. The entrance hall, entrance room. There's often a room where through which you can go in. And because I'm connecting 1 to the 9, the 1 and the 9. I would also say the bedroom here, but the bedroom is probably more the 9 than the 1. The 1 is the one through which you enter into the house. The 9 is the place where you rest. And yes, you go unconscious and you go asleep and all those things. But I would associate more that with the 9. So the 9 would be the bedroom and the 1 would be the entrance to the house. When he says Mulmantram, he says, which of the particles of the elements within the Mulmantra is the 1? Well, that's also easy. It's Ek. And we have a whole course on the Mulmantra here in the channel. And we dedicated 1 whole hour to talk about Ek. So if you want to know more about Ek, we have 1 hour of video just talking about Ek and chanting Ek, Ek, things like that. So, and the K sound, reflecting and, philosophizing upon, the sound of the K. Let me put this in silence. So that's very interesting if you wish to watch that video. And yeah, we also talked about the Guru, and the Guru is Guru Nanak. So let me put the G. Guru Nanak Dev. Guru Nanak. There we go. That's the Guru that we associate with number 1. And again, if you want to know more about this Ek and Nanak, you can go to that course and watch that one. Virtue and virus. And we through that course, we were exploring which is the virtue and the virus that we associate with every one of these particles. And so we found, and I will just write it down here, that the virtues, humility. Let me give some space for this one. And I always doubt whether there's 1 L or 2 L's. Humility, I think it's 2. And humiliation is the virus. So you will see number 1 is about something small, becoming very small. And the virtue is that you are humble. But the virus is when people take advantage of you, the people step on you, and they are putting you down. So that's the humiliation. Yeah. Okay, the craft. This is crafts and arts. The craft would be something that is associated with the 1 is a pin. A pin has the shape of the 1. And the number 1, one of the things we say about number 1 is the impulse to penetrate. And the pin penetrates the cloth from one side and the other. So how do you call that? Sewing or knitting? Something like that. Let's see if I can write it. Knitting or sewing. I'm not sure about the spelling, but something like that. Yeah, embroidery or anything that is connected to the 1. All right. Disease. It could be many diseases, but let me just say there is virus in general. Well, virus is kind of 1 and 9. It's both 1 and 9. But we could also say any disease that happens in any of these, organs or systems. So stomach problems, skeletal problems, problems in the bones, all those are going to be connected to disease. So let me do something else. I will connect this to the organs and the system, and when we do the other video for that, we will contemplate the diseases as well. Because it's good to identify when you have a particular problem. And if you know that problem is associated to number 1, then you can check in your life what else is number 1 and see if those things are in balance. And if there is some issue about those things in your life, they may have a connection to why you're having that problem. So dealing with one is indirectly related to dealing with the other. Sometimes it's even easier to deal to this one instead of that one. Let me check one thing. If it's not here, I will mention it. Marriage, paradox, sounds, other. Well, let me put it in other, okay? The kind of medicine, what kind of medicine is associated to the one? Homeopathy is going to be one. Well, yes, in a way. Well, let me not. Satnam, hello, Meneli. Welcome here, Satnam. So, why am I doubting? Let me explain why. Because, yeah, I would say it's homeopathy. Let me write it down. Because homeopathy, you take one drop of something, like they say the venom of a snake. You take one drop of it, and then you dilute it into 1,000 drops of pure water. Yeah. And then you take that and you mix it and you circulate it and you charge it somehow. And then you take one drop of that and you put it with 1,000 drops of pure water. And then you do it again, yeah? And then one drop of that and with 1,000. And you keep repeating this until you're taking so little of the original poison. Origin is one, yeah? The essence of poison, that's one. But the moment that you've been diluting it with so much water, so the element of water is here, that's why I was doubting whether it's connected to water or not. But the way is that you are diluting it into water, and at the end, when you've done this process 5, 10, 15, who knows how many times, there is nothing of the original essence of, there's nothing of the original venom, but the essence of the venom, the charge of the essence of the venom is still there. And homeopathy can be very powerful. And that's something associated to the 1 and 9, because it's the essence. You're capturing the essence of that venom, and then by taking it, your body responds to that essence and protects itself against that. For example, yeah? And I found when I was first a dad and I had babies, the little babies are very sensitive to homeopathy. And actually, it helped us a lot when our firstborn was having some issues. She was having trouble to go to sleep, and she was having some digestive issues, and then some other issues as well, particularly with the teeth when they were growing. And we gave her some homeopathy, and it was extremely effective, and much more than you would imagine. And she was teething and crying and saliva, and it was the poor girl. And as soon as we started giving her homeopathy, the problems went away. But it was radical. If one day we would stop giving her, she would start again. So it was very, very effective. Babies are number one, right? We wrote it here. Yeah, and the homeopathy, capturing the essence, is very effective to deal with that. So it could be that if you have an issue, a problem, and that's why it's interesting to know which problems are associated to number one, maybe homeopathy could be particularly interesting for that as well. Then, within every system of medicine, there's different branches as well. So you can have homeopathy associated to earth, associated to water and fire and so on. So I'm not just saying only use homeopathy on the earth problems. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that there is some resonance, and if you may use that resonance, it may be useful. By the way, acupuncture is also 1 and 9, maybe more 9 than 1, but why not? It's needles. Yeah, you put needles. So, that's homeopathy is between the 1 and 9 and 2 and 8, because you're using the water to dilute. But homeopathy is like the needle, so that's the 1 and 9. But acupuncture is 1 and 9 as well. But you're interrupting the flow of chi, prana, through different meridians. So that's the energy, that's the 2 and 8. So there is a combination of elements there. Anyway, let's not carry on more in this point. The part in the marriage. Well, this is the male, what we call the penetrative male, or the primary male. The man who impregnates the woman. Yeah, sometimes we call it more like the wild aspect of the man, or the magic of the man. Yeah, it's a male principle. Paradox. Well, it could be a few of them. If we come back to the Mul Mantra, Ekonkar, all is one, all is connected, we are all connected, even though we all look separate. You can also say all is in the small. Beep, beep, beep. That's another kind of paradox, one of those games with the words. So, yeah, good. Sounds and mantras. Well, every mantra that starts with Ekonkar, so Ekonkar, the Mool mantra, Ekonkar Sandhan Kartapurek Nirvo, yeah, that would be one. But Ekonkar Satgut Prasad, that would be another one. Or Ekonkar Satnam Siriwa Heuru, those would be another one. Then the mantras which we use to open up a session, the start the session, that would be as well. And you know, like the Ad Kuriname, Jugat Kuriname, like that would be another mantra that's connected to number one. And literally, like the mantra of the beginning, at the very beginning, that would be Adi mantra. So we could also say, let me put Adi mantra too. Adi mantra, yeah. There's quite a few. You can also say, well, the sound to vibrate the first chakra, lam lam lam. That would be also a bija mantra for the first chakra. So that would also be. I'm not going to put it. I don't want to fill up this with too many things, but that would be here as well. And let's put flavor. The flavor should be before others, probably. Is sweet, which is the flavor that you can find in the tip of your tongue. The tip of your tongue, which is the tip is one, yeah, is the one that is in charge of perceiving something sweet. And there is something sweet about the alignment. You know, through the alignment of the spine, through the alignment of your back, in the postures, if you are aligning yourself and tip of the tongue in the upper palate, then you can open the flow of nectar, of Amrit, which is like a sweet nectar that comes, and we talk about this, like the, how is it called? The nectar of immortality, yeah, the famous nectar of immortality. That would be the Amrit that can flow through this perfect alignment of the body in meditation. So that's interesting. And that's it. Okay, we got it ready. We will continue through this table. I will share the results. Whenever I do these graphs, I'm going to compile them all and share them with the members of the YouTube channel. I haven't been doing that because I couldn't find a way to share documents, but I figured it out before Christmas and I didn't do it. I apologize for that, but I will do it. And I will also share this document with all of you who are members of the channel, and I really appreciate your support. So this is my way of sharing something back, and so that you can have it also clearly, because here from the screen is difficult to see and you may take notes, but I will share it as well. Well, this is it for today. Hopefully you have your dictionary much more stable now and more clear, and we can continue building upon this. And probably next week we will do with organs, body organs and systems and problems and diseases and all that, to understand better how the one manifests within us. This is 10 videos for every number. The first 5 are more focused on one, things which are one. And the second part will be the sequence. We're going to start doing sequences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's when we will start seeing the numbers in action. That's going to be really interesting. And that's going to come in the second part of this course. So something to look forward to as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for watching and subscribing and commenting and all that. And until next time, Sanam.